Hello there everyone and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today I'm going to be sharing with you two cards, each with a little bit of a peekaboo front, so you're going to be able to see through to the card inside. So to start with, I am going to be stamping my flowers. Now I'm using the new beautiful Build a Flower Cora Louise Peony. So I'm just going to stamp my outlines first, and I'm just going to be using the Obsidian ink. So I'm going to stamp 4 of these flowers, and I'm going to just use 2 on each card. So if you want to add more flowers, just stamp more of them. And this is classic Crest Solar White that I am stamping onto. So once I have stamped all of my outlines, I can then go on to the first base layer, and this is the pink diamond ink that I'm using. So I'm just making sure that I have all of the image covered, so it's going to be completely within that outline, but I'm not stamping that centerpiece. So that centerpiece that is the stamens is going to be kept white for now. So I'm just going to keep going until I have all of my little flowers coloured in with the pink diamond ink. I just love how beautiful this pink is. It's a really soft kind of baby pink. So once I have those into place, I can then move on to the second layer. Now for the second layer, I'm going to be using the Pinkalicious ink. It's one of my favourite named inks. So I'm going to pop this into place just over where it needs to be. Again, I'm not stamping that centerpiece, that's going to be left white. So the Pinkalicious is one of my favourite named inks. Which one is your favourite named inks? It was either be the Pinkalicious or the Aqualicious for me. I think they're really cool names for inks. So I'm just going to keep going with this until I am completely covered those 4 images that we have there. So once I have done that, I'm going to move on to the final layer of these little petals. And for this one, I'm going to be using the Rubellite ink. Now this is going to add a really dark shadow into the center of that flower, so it kind of looks like it's cupped. It's a really beautiful looking flower, this one. So again, I'm just going to pop them into place, and that centerpiece is going to be left white. So once I have completely done the flower petals, I can then move on to the centers. And for this one, I am using the Chamomile ink. So this is a really light orangey yellow, I would say. So once those are in place, I can then move on to my leaves. Now there's 2 different leaves in this stamp set, but I decided to go with the one that has the 2 leaves on it, so it makes me have more leaves at the end of it. Hopefully that makes sense. So for the outline, I am using the Obsidian ink to get that really bold, bright black outline. So once I have finished stamping all of my leaves, I'm then going to move on to the base layer. And for these ones, I wanted some really fresh green inks. So I'm going to be using the Firefly for my base layer. So I'm just going to pop these into all of those little outlines that we have dotted around my little piece of cardstock. The cardstock was 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and it did manage to fit on all of the image that I needed. So for the base, for the second layer, of the leaves, I'm going to be using the Grass Field ink. Now these ones are just going to line up along the side of the leaves and giving that center line as well. They are really easy to line up and look really pretty once they are all done. So once I have finished stamping all of my images, I'm then going to die cut them all out. So I'm using the coordinating die that comes in the Build a Flower set. Just going to pop them around the images, add a little bit of tape so they don't move around, and then we have these beautiful die cut pieces. So I have cut all of my stamped images, and I also die cut just some plain cardstock using that flower die. We're going to use that for a little bit of camouflage later. I have 2 cards. I have one that opens on the side and then one opens from the bottom. And I'm going to be creating my little peekaboo die cut bit now. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece off the front of the card so we can have that peekaboo kind of peeking through to the inside of the card. I am doing it on an angle, but if you wanted to, you can make sure that this is nice and straight, but I do like the angles on this. So I have those little pieces as well, and I'm going to use those as a guide. I'm going to be using one of these pieces from the Essential Black and White 6x6 paper pack, and I just love this little polka dots. So I'm taking that piece that I cut from the front of the card, and I'm just going to use that as a guide while I cut my paper. I just want around about 1/2 inch above that we have, so it's not going to peek through underneath the peekaboo. It's definitely going to be covered. And I'm going to do that the same thing for both pieces. So the one that goes upwards and then the one that goes to the side. So again, I'm just going to add a 1/4 by 1/2 inch just at the above that little guide that we have there. Now we no longer need that guide piece, and I am just going to adhere those pieces of pattern paper that we've just cut to the inside of my card. I'm just lining that up on the bottom. I can then flip this over and then cut off any overhanging pieces. So that's our little peekaboo that we have going on there. So that's the one with the top folding card base. And we also have the one with the side folding card base. So again, I'm just going to do exactly the same. Just add some glue to the inside of my card and then pop that beautiful piece of pattern paper into place. Once it's in place, I can turn that over and just get rid of any overhanging pieces. So once that's done, my card bases are now nice. I can move on to just playing around and placing the florals. Now on this card, it doesn't matter where the florals are placed, but this one, I want to make sure that they are touching the bottom of the card. That means it's going to help it stand up. So you will have a card that can actually stand up. That's what you want. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. I'm just using some tape glue from Altenew. This is my favorite glue to go to, and it's so clean and easy to use. So like I said, the one that has the cut out on the bottom, you definitely need to make sure that those flowers are overhanging the bottom part. On the other card, it doesn't really matter if they overhang because it's not going to really play a part in this card standing up. So once I have the flowers in place, I'm then going to add in the leaves, and I'm just kind of tucking them in where I think they're going to look good. Now this one is going to also help stand that card up, and I'm just going to add in some leaves to this one too. Now I did stamp too many leaves, but I'm not going to worry about that. I can use that on a different project. So once I have those into place, I can then take the die cuts that are plain, and I'm just going to pop them behind the other die cuts that you can see from the front, and that is just going to cover up any adhesive that is overhanging. There was a little bit of adhesive here on the leaf, so I just used an eraser to get rid of that, and I can then pop on the little camouflage die cuts that we have here. Once that's done, I'm going to close the card, turn it over, and going to get rid of any overhanging pieces, and that is going to help that card stand up really, really well. I just think this looks so cool having that little cutout as well as it being able to stand up as well. So the sentiments are from the circled sentiment stamp set, and all I've done is I've cut those and stamped using the coordinating die and some Obsidian ink. So you can see when I open these cards up, because we didn't go all over with that piece of pattern paper, there is room there to add your messages as well. So I really do hope that you like the cards and that you've enjoyed the videos too, and that you like the techniques that were involved in these cards. If you do create a card that was inspired by this, it'd be great if you do share, because we'd love to see. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See you again soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, crafty friend. Lydia here. Just popping in to say that you can get your daily dose of crafting tips, techniques, and tutorials just like this by subscribing to the Altenew YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on that little bell up there and you will never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.